I took my carburetor off, my 70 Chevelle, and I noticed that it's wet around here a little bit. What I want to do is take the cover off and see if the float is set right, or see if there's something else that's all gummy. Alright, so the first thing I'll do, the other thing is, once again it says GM, made in USA, Rochester, 2-jet. So upon further investigation I found out that the number is right here on the float bowl. It's 7054653. They started doing this in 1969. 68 and below, they had a tag here. So I guess the tags were always falling off. Nobody knew what kind of carburetor it was, because there's so many of these. I cannot believe it. You know, they're all different. You'd think they just make 2 or 3 designs, but I guess not. Here's an older one. Okay, so it has the same thing. It doesn't really tell you. See here, the little piece of copper plate here, that was the now it's good to take a good look how these linkages go, you know, because you start taking this stuff apart, you may not remember. So this one is where the choke goes in this, you'll see, as long as the throttle is open. If you this hooks on, there's a rod here that hooks on a spring on the manifold, and when you first time you hit the gas to start the car, it will automatically go that, and then go to this position and choke it, and then as it warms up it slowly opens up all the way. Okay, let's just take some of this apart. And this one's a little longer, but you don't have to worry about it because it only fits in one spot. So if you put it in the wrong spot, you're going to be short one. Well, it probably won't even go all the way down because it'll be too long. Okay, so let me come over here. Instead of taking off the plastic part, let's take the hose off the metal part. Oh, vacuum leak. Okay, that's a good sign. That way we can fix that. So now we'll look on this side for the linkages. We have one right here. So we'll take this screw off. Okay, so it just comes off like that. I'll just lay this face down knowing that that's where it's got to come. And this one has a little cotter pin in here. Whoa, 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 where'd that go? Be careful. And then you can just find the right place. So this one, this goes to the pump, the accelerator pump, right here. So every time you step on the gas, it will squirt a little jet in there. So since I took all the screws off the top, I'll just pull the top off, because what I want to do is I want to check the float level here, and the car, it runs fine. It just, I had to pull it off for another reason, so I might as well just, I pulled this off just to take a look and see what's going on. Okay, so it looks fairly clean. There's no junk in the bottom here. So let me just take off a couple of these jets. They sit right here. There's two of them. There's one. Whoa. Whoa, got away from me. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it or not. Well, I can. It's perfectly clear. Just can't see it through the camera. Here's the other one. It's the same thing. It's clear. You can't see it. Anyway. And then what we have here in the center is the power valve. Okay, it's got a little spring-loaded thing on it. I'll show it to you as soon as I pull it out. Okay, here's what it looks like. It's got a little tip on it that moves in and out. And yeah, can't see it. So anyway, that, and it has a little gasket that goes with that. The jets don't have gaskets. Put that back on. I'll give that a little spray, even though it doesn't need it. Alright, and then we will take off the Venturi cluster. Get that right off. And it also has a gasket that goes with that. And you'll see that this is all clean. All the holes are open. And even these tubes here, because you can see totally right through them. So it's all, everything is real clean here. Of course, like I say, there's nothing wrong with it. It works. The carburetor works great. Yeah. And then right down in here, we have a little T with a spring and a ball. I'm not going to take that out. What I will do is just spray it with cleaner. So let me look at the bottom. Three screws hold that on there. Here's how it works. So basically, when it sits on the car, when you step on the gas, it opens up the two valves here, and the air comes flying right in here into your engine. Here's full bore all the way open. These are air adjustment screws, and you just screw them in and out, and you put a vacuum gauge on the engine and see where it's you get the best reading. Or some old timers just go by ear and see when the car is running the best. So okay, so we'll just set that off to the side. Here's the gasket that goes with that. Okay, so I just have some carburetor cleaner, and I'll just be careful. Wear glasses. Wear glasses. Even if you don't need them. And I just go through here. It hit all these joints, hit all these little holes. Like I say, this carburetor is pretty clean, so let's do the jets. So you see, squeeze it below and cover it clear here, it comes right up through here. Yeah. Bring that out a little bit. Now we'll do the Venturi cluster here. These are all open. Spray them a little bit. Okay, then you can use, if you want to, you can do compressed air, or I just let it air dry. Let me put this back together. When you put the gasket on, make sure that all the holes line up, because they're all important. Everybody does something. Okay, so we'll come back to the top. Here's our Venturi assembly. Gasket is on there, right? Just drop it in there nice and easy. Two longer bolts, one shorter bolt. Now when you buy a carburetor kit, all these parts come with it, all the gaskets. New float, needle and seat. Okay, so let me take a little carburetor cleaner. Probably best to wear gloves. Okay, so remember, this one has a gasket. Goes right down in the center. So you take the screwdriver, push down on that little spring-loaded rod, and then you can tighten it up. Don't have to be super tight. So, okay, that's this one. Now here's where the two jets go. Okay. Once again, they're clean, but I would just hit them with a little carburetor cleaner anyway. Okay, so here's one in there. Now we'll put the other one in. Okay, so you have this way. Yeah, here you go. You got the two jets, and then you got the power valve right here. Alright, now the next side, well, we'll put that off to the side. And now let's do the floats. Here is the needle and the seat. So that just drops right in there. So if you get a kit, what happens is you just unscrew this and get rid of that, because they come as a pair. And there you go. So what happens when you need more gas, this thing opens up and it comes flowing right into the bowl. You don't need any, it shuts it all off. So just be careful on these so you don't damage the tip at all, or else it'll constantly be supplying gas to the bowl when you don't even need it. Here's the gasket. Okay, so I don't need to replace this because there's nothing wrong with it. It is fairly new, but I will take a little bit of oil and just put it around here. Let me do that right now. So I just got a little bit of oil, put it on my fingers, and just put some around that rubber. Okay, so now let's just do the float and see where we are. Okay, so okay, so there's the gasket is on there. You get the instruction sheet for a Rochester carburetor when you buy the rebuild kit, and here it lists all the parts. So you have in case you get lost or whatever, you'll know what goes in where. It's just helpful to just take a look at this when you're going through. Also, in instructions, it'll tell you how to adjust the float. Okay. So it says, like, plastic float, measure distance from gasket to lip on free end of float. So there's the gasket, and there's where they're looking at, and I'll show that to you. And here's the other one. This is for, and if it's a metal float, you do it a little bit different. But since this is a plastic one, and then here is the adjustment for the float, how far it should go down. So you measure from the gasket to the tip right there. Okay. Here's the adjustment table for the carburetor. It also comes with it. Okay, so you look down here, Chevrolet 1970, and it says 350 engine, but these numbers are, I have a 705, this is 704s, but I'm going to use this right here. It says 350, and it says automatic transmission and a manual transmission. Well, I know this car originally came with a manual transmission, so that means the float level they want, you probably can't see this, but it says 23 seconds, and then for the float drop it's 1 3/8 of an inch. 1 3/8 of an inch. Okay, 2332, 1 3/8, manual transmission, 350. Alright, so what we're going to do here, you got to remember on the diagram what it said from the gasket to the tip. So that will be from the gasket, right here, the gasket, to the very tip over here, right there. So they give you a little gauge, and it says 2332. So if you look over here, you'll see if you guys can see this. So you see this is way out of whack. This is 28. It has to go down to 23. So now I'm going to bend this a little bit. I'll bend it right here. Okay, so now let me check that again. Put the needle in the seat, hook it over a little tab, and check it again. Okay, it is at 26, so I need to bend it a little bit more. Do you see that? It's not, yeah. So let me take this back out. So we'll put the needle back in there, drop it back in the seat, hook up the float. Okay, once again. Okay, that is at that says 24. So, oh, I don't know if you can read this or not. Probably not, but anyway, take my word for it. It says 20. Okay, it's between 23 and 24. So, close enough for me. Okay, so that's one adjustment. The other adjustment is the float travel. So, if you remember, if you look at the diagram, it tells you from the tip to the gasket. So, we want one, a little bit of hook. So they want 1 3/8. Okay, so we look at this side. This is the inches. Set the gauge down. And then lift it up all the way, and you'll see it goes to 1 3/8. Oh my God, how lucky. So you look right there, 1 3/8. So that means when it's sitting level, this, okay, if you're looking at it here. If you're looking at it here, this is when the bowl is full of gas. So as you run the car, it drains the gas, the float comes down, and the gas comes coming out of the needle and seat here, and then as it fills up, it will just keep on going up and down and as the car is running. Then as it comes to a rest and stop, it'll come to the top position, shut it all off, and wait for you to start the car again. So when you're running the car, the float is down, gas is gushing in and flowing into the carburetor. This is a power piston assembly, and it works on vacuum. And it most of the time it will be up position, unless your car is, the vacuum goes down because it's maybe like going up a hill or whatever, and then it'll come down, and then what that does is makes contact with the power valve assembly right down in here. Power valve assembly, and it pushes that little needle down, and it provides more gas to go inside the carburetor to keep the motor going when it's under needs more gas. Because if you were accelerating, just taking off, you would get your extra gas through the two jets here with the pump, because the pump would just squirt some gas. It would squirt extra gas in here, you know, like when you're taking off, you know. But when it's just going down a highway, it uses this other system. So I couldn't get the carburetor to go into place, and that was because I didn't have this piece of metal in the right spot. I had it in the wrong thing. Can you see this? So it goes, there's a lip right here, goes in there and goes in here, and that long piece just slides around the edge over there. Okay, that's what I had wrong. So you're not going to put these carburetors together the wrong way, because they just don't work. They only fit one way. Okay. Gasket, hole. See? Now it fits like it's supposed to fit. Oh, here's another thing. With this power valve here, I was looking up in, just happen to have one of these, Super Chevelle service. Simpler than you think. Carburetor service. Yeah, sure. And it says 1958. Copyright right down at the bottom. Chevy Motor Division, Detroit, Michigan. Okay, so the picture here shows the power piston. That's this thing right here. And the power valve, which is this guy right down there. So what it says here, if you can read this, the Rochester 2-barrel carburetor, one power valve supplies additional fuel to both main wells. 4-barrel carburetor has power valve on primary side only. Okay, so the Rochester power system is precisely calibrated as the main metering system to maintain calibration. Okay, so we have to, the power piston must operate freely, which it does. The vacuum passages are clean and airtight. Okay, we have that. The power piston assembly or spring must never be interchanged between carburetors. Each spring is calibrated for the requirement of a specific engine and transmission. Okay, now this is the kicker. Power valve must not leak. Test by gently blowing through the valve with mouth in direction opposite to fuel flow. Now, this is 2020. Can you imagine something like this? Use your mouth in today's 2020 with all the EPA and all the environment stuff, you know. Thank God this was written in 1958. That's kind of funny. I just thought I would bring that up there. But there are a couple guys on the internet that do a better job than I do. The one guy is Mike Carburetor, the other one is Charles Prince, and then of course Eric the Car Guy. So for even more information, because they break it down even more than I do. Alright, so let's go back to the shield in place. Now I want to put the float, so we have to put the needle, the catcher for the needle on that little tab. Okay, and the needle gently falls back into place. And then we have to put the pin in. There it is. So there's the pin, here's the float, and you'll see the needle come out as the float goes down. Now we will try to assemble it again. So the plunger goes into the hole there. Push that rod over, and there. Look at that. See? See how nice it fits if you do it right? Okay, so now let's put the screws back in. Okay, and the last one, it doesn't fit anywhere except the one place because it's a little longer. Okay, so what we'll do is just tighten these up. Now remember, don't super tighten these, you know, because this is not steel. You'll break this stuff. So, alright, now put the levers on. There's a little notch. Let's see. Alright, so let's do it. Alright. So, to get this right, when you step on the gas, the choke will open or close. So, let's put the mechanism here that goes through that side, and then it hooks onto the can. So you put the rod in here, it goes into the fast idle cam. So when the choke goes on, this screw here, goes on the fastest one, and then as the car warms up, it just triggers down and down and down, and just pulls the choke clear, so it's 100% open. Okay. Now, let's do the other lever. Okay, the other lever has a little notch there. The notch goes in here. Let's go this way. Okay, and then it will go through. There's the pump. Okay, so how that works is step on the gas, and it depresses the pump, squirts gas in there, and goes. Okay. Now we just have to put that little cotter pin in there. Be careful, I have lost these before. They're horrible. Okay. Whew. Okay. There it goes. Totally assembled. Ready to go. All the levers in the right position. Oh, vacuum. Okay, there's a 2-barrel assembly. Now, of course, I just did this. This wasn't a total rebuild. It was basically just the floats, but I showed you all the other parts that work in here. There's some other people on the internet that are very good at this, and I will list them down in the description so you could go there if you wanted to look. And because these guys really get into detail, and they're the ones that sell the parts. So let's put this on the car, start it up, and see what happens.